Oh, you folks, welcome along to the first LWB Club Football Pod for 2022. We are absolutely delighted to be with you for the next 6 or 7 weeks again. Going to be belting it over with the best of content regarding your Carlow Championship action. It's going to be in association with the Recovery Hub in Carlow. If you're sore after a match, we're into the boys there. They're in around the Super Quinn area. J&J Services, you're after a bit of hobby welding gas or motor parts, or anything like that. J&J Services below in Tullow. Maybe you want a championship haircut, the Barbershop in Carlow Town. Maybe you want to fuel up going to a championship match, the Green Lemon Cafe in Rathvilly. Or, better again, maybe you want a few floodlights inside in your grounds. Byrne Electrical, Musgrave Park, one of the places among their floodlighting output, I believe. And have done a good job on several of the big name ones around the country. We are delighted to have them on board as our sponsors for the championship. We still have some advertising slots. If anyone is interested, you can email leftwingbackpodcast@gmail.com. Very, very reasonable rates, as our sponsors above will attest to, for the championship. So, yeah, we are into the nitty-gritty of it already. We have had a round under our belts over the weekend. We're also keeping an eye on a device here to the left-hand side, because I'm conscious that Liverpool and United is still ongoing. I thought I'd factored in full-time being around 9:45. Not so wise. 45 and a 15-minute break, and another 45. What? You not factor in injury time the whole time. So maybe I should have held off on that. So we do a few listening and watching already, I should say. And there's another couple of minutes left in United and Liverpool. It's United 2, Liverpool 1. As a United fan, very, very happy at the moment. Very, very surprised. Hard work, grit, determination. Two gentlemen who might not be so happy. Brian O'Donoghue and Stephen Pambrick. How are you getting on, gents?
Sick.
Normal service resumes.
Yeah, Jesus, I don't know about that. Liverpool, as I look here, are absolutely all over United, and they're just clinging on for dear life. But yeah, I know we're here to talk about GA, but we can't not talk about this.
You reminded me of a funny story. Brendan Lawrence, he's with the Wicklow people now. He used to write for the Nash years back, and he used to do funny columns. And he was working for radio one time, and it was his first time going in. He was doing the sport or whatever, and the evening kicked in, and a match came on the telly, United and Arsenal, and he'd run out of content. He put this in the column in the paper, but he ran out of content to speak about, and the match was on, so he just started commentating on the match. And he was watching away. Eventually, someone texted in and said, "What match are you talking about?" And it turned out it was a classic match the Sky were showing from 3 years ago, United v Arsenal. He was commentating live away on the radio. So I was worried. I was hoping you were doing the same.
The closest thing I have to that, Dunzer, is was it 2018 when Tyrone played Dublin and Dollar in a football final? I think it was. And obviously, as I used to do with Sunday that time, I was in the studio on KCLR doing the sports show between 2 and 6. I said, how am I going to get to see most of the second half of this? So, yeah, I actually factored in our breaks properly that time. But what do you do? Pull out 2 10-minute songs, Freebird and Hotel California, back to back. Commercial break. There was about 5 minutes left, I think, in the game with our breaks and songs. And it was grand. And a bit of commentary on the game as well. So, improvisation or innovation that excites, I think, as a famous car dealer brand once said. A minute to go on that, so still 2-1. But yeah, look, we'll chat about a bit of football. As I said, that's what we're here to do. Ladies football will be on the agenda a little bit later on as well. Bennekerry-Tinryland took on O'Loughlin last night, and O'Loughlin actually won that one. Let's start with that, actually, Steve. I don't know if you're over at it, but I think it was a 4 or 5 points O'Loughlin won by in the end against Bennekerry-Tinryland.
It wasn't that. No, I think it was 114 or 115 to 2-6. I was talking to a couple of people, Brad. O'Loughlin were a bit the better team, but I wasn't taught there was shadow boxing going on by either side. No, we're in total block capitals, but sure, they're going to end up in the final of it. I think there's St. Anne's and Fenner, the other 2 teams in it, and they're both only after coming up in the last couple of years, so they're only developing teams that, in fairness to Bennekerry-Tinryland and O'Loughlin, they're after setting a high standard. So it's going to be, it's a big step up for both teams. And, I think both teams were nearly at full strength last night. Lauren Dwyer wasn't playing, whether she plays, she didn't play last year in the county final. I'm thinking, sure, they won it without her. Clean the shed did, of course. She's not back from injury yet. On the Loughlin side, Ellen Atkinson has gone travelling, I think. So Amy Doley's not around at the minute. Whether she's back, I'm not 100% sure. And that's about it. That's all I can tell you, really. There was a savage crowd that had passed up by it about 7:30 or 8:15, and there was a choir crowd that had all right now. So just shows you people are mad for games, no matter what code it is at the moment. So the weather's fine, and the evens are nearly fixed now as well. You can see there, 7, 8:30, nearly are gone. So make the best of it while you can.
All over 2-1 United. Jesus, we'll take it. I wasn't expecting it now this evening, to be honest with you. But going back to that, just a word, I suppose it's something we remarked upon last year. And I suppose when O'Loughlin, won their Leinster and all, and got to the intermediate club final and stuff, they're playing really, really good football. And with that, and this is not taking that away from them, but what I saw from Bennekerry and Ryland last year with the way it was the first team I saw in ladies football in Carroll to play defensive football, so disciplined, and to actually not waver from it no matter what, and carried it out to the letter. They were so good tactically. And I just think in general the game has come on so much in the last 5 or 6 years, largely down to those two teams. Enjoyable spectacles, Jenny Mac, you'd need both.
Yeah, even see it in the amount of
that we've had over the last
Antrim getting promoted. Antrim in division or the junior replay last week. Like Cardiff had 2 ding dong battles to them in the championship the last 2 years. Like last year they were cruel and lucky not to get through. This year probably a little bit more between them, but the fact Antrim have gone on and beat Fermanagh there in the replay, it probably bodes well for the county. Hopefully that they're getting there bit by bit, and they might get a junior title in the next year or two. Hopefully,
there's something I love about the I know ladies football is like there's an honesty and a kind of a pureness. They don't you don't see the cynical kind of stuff. You don't see some of the nonsense that you get in the men's game, and as a result, then you get a lot more. I think they're a lot better coached, or can be more easily coached. There was a brilliant clip going around on Twitter of the Meath ladies against Galway, where Emma Duggan starts at the throw-in at half back, and it's the most simple move of all time, but executed to perfection. And you could call it pureness, or you call it honesty, or maybe call it a bit of naivety. But the Galway defenders kind of fell for hook, line, and sinker. Me get a score off it, but one of the things I love about watching ladies football is you always see, the cluster, the kick out where the cluster and break. Bunch of break. You see that time and again, and the teams that do it really well do it brilliantly. And you kind of wonder why don't more men's teams do the kind of set play moves, and then the counter to that, I suppose, and I would actually agree with you. I think ladies are actually easier to coach. Sometimes men just don't want to know about it. They just don't want to listen to what you're saying. They just don't take it in. And it's funny, we're having this conversation off air, regardless of what system, what style of play, whatever it is. And we would have remarked upon it in the hurling pod. There's 3 simple things, isn't there? Win the ball, pass the ball, move. 3 simple things, and then add in a bit of hard work into it. And if you don't execute the basics well, you are going to fall down regardless of the game plan. That's ultimately what comes down to, lads, We'll start with Friday, Senior Football Championship action. And I suppose everyone was expecting Aero to win this one. Ended up a draw, 114 to 3-8. Aero and Bindlestown Gales. Bindlestown Gales 2 points up at half time. Now, this is not a comment that you'd make after a game and a hindsight 2020 comment and all that. But, there was certain things going around that Aero weren't quite the Aero of the last couple of years. And maybe that's down to personnel moving on. I don't know what it is, but there's just a bit of loose talk that maybe the Aero camp isn't as sweet as what it might have been in previous years. They are losing lads, in fairness, as well, and lads that you can't really replace, despite the fact that they have such depth. And you look at their intermediate team and how good that is and how good it always is. But that's a win, Brian, that Bindlestown will take great heart from, or a draw, I should say, a result that Bindlestown will take great heart from. The fact that they were 2 points up at half time, they still get a draw with the game. Aero come back at them. Aero's discipline poor as well, I believe. But yeah, big lift for the town. Is there question marks over Aero? I don't know if question marks. I randomly bumped into Ken Hickey today, and sort of the Bagenalstown take on it seems to be that they just kick too many wides. Now, like Bagenalstown gave Rathvilly an unbelievable game. I can't remember, was it the 21 championship or the 20 championship? They were so close together.
Yeah, semi-final last year, 21. Yeah.
Yeah, like Jamie Clark was on the losing side, but as far as I could see, he was man of the match that day. But like Bagenalstown football wise, have been coming and are coming. And okay, had Éireog been, if you want to call it full strength, would it have been as close? That's obviously hard to know, but I would have said that Bagenalstown will push at every single team they play. They'll probably win a couple of their games, but they will push everyone they play. I wouldn't be surprised if Bagenalstown ended up at the very business end of the championship. Like Éireog, if Jordan Morrissey is hurt, Ross Dunphy is away, Owen Root is away. I think Richie Mann is done. There's names that have been kind of at the backbone of that team for the 4 in a row, if you like, that are now missed. I think Martha Ware is away as well. So are they the Éireog team that was there before? Like, they're clearly not, but I certainly wouldn't write them off.
Yeah, Stevie, you're a big draw for Bagenalstown. I just think you're a Bagenalstown one half the time. Anyway, the flag was up after the time of the county final, but I believe, and again, I wasn't there myself, but they got a lot of men back. They broke quickly, and that is a game that suits them. They've got plenty of strength, but they've got huge pace as well.
Yeah, and I was in work, so I was listening on the radio, and you're trying to visualize what it is, and when there were a couple of points up, and Éireog got a black card and red card and another red card, and I know they didn't score for 25 minutes, but in fairness, they kept pottering away at it. And Darren Nolan came on last year. Was it again? I'm like Brian, I get mixed up with the years now. Did he come on against O'Loughlin last year and score the winner? He have to been taken off earlier. Maybe I'm wrong, but he came on the other day. Like, and Darren, we seen Darren in the minor final there 3 or 4 years ago. Like, he was a outstanding man of the match that day. I think he got the goal of the night, the 3rd goal, and what to have is pace everywhere. Yeah, the pace everywhere. And looking at their Éireog team, like, no, I think Darragh O'Brien and Jordan Morrissey are probably going to be back shortly. I think Morton Mike came on as a sub. Mark Fitzgerald is still out injured. Like the lads that they brought in, it's not before time. Kyle O'Byrne, these lads were playing senior football. I was talking to Tommy Wogan actually at the minor match in Éireog there tonight, and just talking about the 2 games that Éireog played over the weekend. And sure, in fairness, Mark Fiore's back. Like, there's lads that are missing, lads. But with the intermediate being regraded after winning the intermediate last year, there was only so many of them can play intermediate anyway. So there's probably a bit like Michael win the intermediate or Rangers in the hurling. There's only so many of them can actually go back and play intermediate. So there's going to be more of a push for lads who are playing. As that's Tommy there, Kieran Nolan, I never heard of him. I think he's only a minor, and Tommy said like he's putting his hand up in training. He's going to be training. He's started the other day. So, and like to be playing out, coming straight home minor, playing in Éireog senior team is a fair achievement. And we will talk later about that chap from Rathvilly there. I was warned about before the match on Saturday, and what a display he gave, Brandon Kelly. So yeah, look, it'll give
Dunnigan.
Sorry,
Dunnigan.
Dunnigan, is it?
Yeah.
Well, the program knows Brandon Kelly, so apologies for that.
Oh.
No.
Brandon, you were gobshite now for that one, Stevie.
Yeah.
When he's joking. But yeah. No, listen, in fairness,
Wait now, am I wrong? His mother is Kelly, his father is Dunnigan. Maybe.
Jesus, you're getting it wrong. Come on, lads. Come on.
Brandon.
Credibility gone already. I'm sure he's been called worse.
Blame the Rathvilly PRO then.
Gonzo. If you look at the balance of the side, like, and just go down through, both sides, in fairness, right? If you look at some of the results that Éireog might end up with this year, they might not be as pretty on the eye as previous years, but then give it another 2 or 3 years, and they could still win the championship this year now. We're not saying they're not going to win the championship over one result, right? But those guys, when they get a few years under their belt of championship football, are going to be serious ballers. This is the holy all of it, and also, don't forget, like, it's whatever 5-6 years with Éireog under Joe Murphy, and yes, a lot of lads would have played under Thurlow and Tommy previously, but it's still a different setup, and you're trying to introduce different things, and there's different mindsets, different voices, everything. It's different, and when you've had such a vein of success previously, that might be hard to adjust to as a player. Do you know that sort of way? And it's probably a challenge that the lads have, in fairness to them, but And yeah, that's the
Happy to clarify, it's definitely Brandon Kelly, and humblest apologies to all offended.
Brian, you've been known to offend one or two down through the years, but sure, look.
A politician apologising live on air. This is
on mature reflection.
Yeah, an exclusive. So that was Friday night, lads. We'll move on onto Saturday, and we'll firstly go with Tinryland and Ballybrana. So Tinryland 3-11, Ballybrana 9 points. We've heard big things about Tinryland. We've heard big things about Tinryland a lot of years, but they seem very, very structured under Steve O'Mara. It's very clear the game plan that they're trying to play. They still rack up 3-11. This, Stevie, sum it up for us, right? It was tight for the majority of the first half, and sure, then Tinryland started hitting goals, aren't they?
Yeah, it was just 20 minutes gone. It was 4 points apiece, or 4 points each, nothing in it. It was playing full forward now, and Conor Brennan, he caught the eye. He scored a goal and 2 points.
Big unit of a lad, yeah. I think he played junior last year. Yeah.
Did he get the first? I think he got the first goal. Someone came in along the sideline. Adrian Brennan made a good save. Ball brought back out to him, buried it. Second goal, like Shane Redmond.
I'm going to come back to Panel MLR result, by the way. Sorry, which I completely brushed over.
Shane Redmond got the other 2 goals, something that wouldn't have been in his locker too often, but deadly finishes. And they had a good spread of scores. John Murphy was wearing 2. He was up the field half the time. Conor McGrath, Jonah Dunn, Shane Redmond, Matthew O'Toole, all score from play. Conor Brennan. Like Ballybrana were missing a few from last year, 3 or 4. They just didn't get that little 7 or 8 minutes period before half time. It went from basically being a level or a goal down to being 8 down. And the first 2 minutes of the second half, Tinryland had the ball and kicked the point after 2 minutes, and then Ballybrana went straight down the field, lost the ball again. It just never got into the game at all. And Shane Redmond's 3rd goal, finished it off. Then there was the sending off St. York over the far side. Actually, there was 2 red cards and 1 black. I thought James Cloga had red, but clarified after it was a black, and John Murphy and Jimmy Cahill. So there's 3 real lads going to the line at the one time if you want to put that jersey on. So there was whoever started it, Dermot Welch and James Clover. They were at the start, but James Clover punished. Dermot Welch didn't. Whoever the linesman had a good chat with Brian Deeren, saw that, but the game was over. Time was nearly up at that stage. Tinryland, said all along, that potentially can be anything. And right, with Ballybrana, with Banglason draw with Air Rogue, if Banglason beat Ballybrana next week, that group is nearly done and dusted if Tinryland get a result out of the other game. So it's after one round, you mightn't be in the semi-final or quarter-final, but you could be a long way from it. Ballybrana scores. Jamie Lunny got a point. He was wearing 4. David Cox got a point. Darren Lunny only got a point from free. Sansom only got 3 points from frees. Like Sansom and Lunny 2 years ago, there was a dangerous unit you had in the county at senior level even. Balls, once they got into him, and I thought Darren Lunny was playing a bit deeper the other day now, just he didn't get forward as much as I thought he would get forward. Then they're down 3 or 4 lads in positions in the back, so they're probably much the same as O'Loughlin, maybe pushing back Shawnee Barmick or Mikey Barmick if they're playing. You're going forward as well, so a lad is wearing 2 or 4 or 7, it doesn't matter. He's going to be end up in the far end of the field anyway. But Tinryland, they're I said to you before the championship started, these lads can do anything.
You've actually hit them for the championship.
Yeah, but that was no. I
4 cans of carling on board at a time.
I was just trying to get a bit of interest in, and I got a good response back from Joe. Joe said, was the sun getting to me there when it was one of the warm days, all right.
In fairness, but Tinryland, in fairness to Tinryland, they always want to play football, and they've always had really good footballers. I remember when they turned us over in 2011, and we were after being in the final in 2009, final in 10, and then the replay, and then Tinryland came and they had that 2011. They had an aggression to their play that I hadn't seen from them before, and any given year, they have enough quality to be at the business end of the championship. It's about whether or not, I think back to your thing, Kevin, of if you're win the ball, move and work hard, there's no reason why they can't. And towards the Ballinabranna, how many of the Ballinabranna, say starting 15, would have been hurling, say for that 6-week block or 7-week block?
One starter.
Is that all?
Yeah.
That's actually crazy, because I remember remarking upon that after the first night of Bree game, and I was thinking, geez, now there was a good few playing junior, Stevie, wasn't there? Like,
yeah, there was 5 or 6 of them playing the junior, and yeah. Colin Byrne didn't start another night, so he came on the sub would have been told.
My ignorant, uneducated brain would have been saying, the likes of, say, the Rangers of this world and the Michels of this world and the Ballinabrannas of this world who have players who play both, that this way, the hurling being for one part of the year and the football being next, should really suit them and encourage them to go ahead for leather. And the two most disappointing results the whole weekend were the Ballinabranna and Malor result, because especially, I suppose, Rangers, because the fact that they're not looking at playing Leinster or anything, so I would have thought they'd been throwing the kitchen sink and everything at. Now maybe there's injuries or whatever the case may be, but
they were down 8 or 9 starters from last year's championship team.
There you go. But I just think and even in terms of getting scores on the board, it's too low scoring in games for both those teams, with possibly stronger tests to come. So it's just a funny one,
I suppose with Ballinabranna, I'm not quite sure how many more they're going to get back. Rangers will get an influx back, and probably segues nicely onto their result. Palatine 119, Rangers 5 points, and there is a few over in San Francisco visiting Chris Nolan and that this week, which I think might be back for the weekend coming. But like, you're spot on, Brian, and it is an interesting one we've spoken about year on year. You could nearly say the same thing most years about Rangers and Tin Ireland actually as well, and we have probably on this podcast. And this might be the year of changes for Tin Ireland. Will it change for Rangers? Like, that is a very good point, with the fact that there is no Leinster Championship to come. There is literally nothing else really in the way between them and having a right good assault at this, though. Like, but they need to get results, and they need to get them pretty quickly.
They'll probably turn somebody over, and I can only hope it's not Rathvilly, but I'm trying to think that in the last 10, 12 years, the amount of times Rangers appeared in a semi-final have maybe lost 2 of the group games. It's incredible. They've unbelievable sportsmen and athletes down there. Just from time to time, they seem to miss a kind of a couple of marquee forwards, or even sometimes a free taker to just pop over a couple of 20-meter frees, But
the fact that they haven't been in a final at all in the last, which is, you can go back whatever many years you want, but they've been in so many semi-finals. It's incredible. Like,
it says the 50s since they were in a final. I was actually talking to Dylan Dermody the other day. I was telling you, Kevin, he was in the Loughlin team, won in 57, and I just happened to, he was out talking to a man. I stopped talking to him anyway, and I was asking him, would you remember the county final in 57? And he said, I do, yeah. He says, it was the Gales, I think it was Ballymurphy and Boris together maybe, but he was saying about the Lennons were 2 of the top players they had that time, and actually, I said Gerald Lennon's possibly his uncle and father, or definitely one of his uncle. Mark was definitely an uncle, I think. But he said Watty Dermody removed one of the Lennons from the field. I think it was I don't know if it was the throw-in or. But he said that time the throw-in. I think he said the 14 on each side got into the middle of the field. There was only 2 goalies weren't in it.
And the Bishop threw in the ball.
Bishop McLean. But
he told me that story before, actually. What he told me that. What he passed on
50
years ago.
Since Ballymurphy would have been in the final. But back, an interesting one with the draw with Éire Óg and Bangstown is if Éire Óg and Bangstown win their 2 remaining games, that group is going to go down to score difference. And if it does, then Éire Óg or Rathvilly in most years would have been first in either group if there were 2 of them separate. You could have a scenario where an Éire Óg could come second in the group now, and you're for Sludert and getting barely into the group to the quarter final as a 3rd place team, and you're presented with Éire Óg in a quarter final. So that draw the other night now was after opening up a bit of.
It's the great thing about 2 groups of 4 is that one draw in a group can throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Like
intermediate is the same. There's a draw in intermediate there as well at the weekend.
Yeah.
The Michelin and Aero, and there's going to be nothing between about
It
6
has
of
got
them.
teams through.
And
Just literally 1 point has got a team through.
Michelin were 8 points down that game, weren't they? The intermediate.
Yeah, they got 2-2 in the last 5, 6, 7 minutes. So it's a
one last word on that before we go into that in detail. Just one last word on Pal before we want to go talk about O'Loughlin Rathvilly as well. But like Pal won that game 190 to 5 points with a lot of chaps. You know what I mean? And a lot of messages coming from, I won't say from Pal people, but coming from the Pal camp maybe. Not so much from those involved, but supporters and all who tend to have a good feel for things, was that they were going to really struggle this year. And very much in transition.
They say that every year. Every year.
Yeah. But you know what the funny thing is, though? I'd say now more than ever, though, they've so much inexperience. And isn't that such a lift for them to get that result? Irrespective of what Rangers team was out there, to get that result.
Yeah, wow. Still have an experience.
Going,
They still have, looking at the team there, like you have David Reid, Conor Lawler, Kieran Moran back. He's like, that's to get the new player back. Like that's
the big one.
Yeah.
He was the makings of that county team with Turlock and the boys when they put him back, wing back. That was the final piece of that jigsaw that time, because he was a centre forward there. Pal, the couple of championships to won, he was nearly unstoppable. And like they still have so front Finbar Cabinet, Jason Kane, like they have Tomas Kenny, Jamie Kenny, Shane O'Neill, Conor Crowley.
Yeah.
Like if they get the weather stays good, I would like to see be backing against them in a 2-horse race. But like we're talking about, after the first round, we've plenty to talk about. And the second round will probably it'll open up whether you have any dead rubbers left for the last game, or whether someone has to win to stay up. Or
if Jack Brennan hadn't got injured,
he's Pal, injured as well.
I would have Pal as more than that. What's more than a dark horse? A light horse. There'd be a serious outfit. Jack Brennan's a huge loss, but having Moran back,
a fairly good horse playing, Brian. In fairness, dark or light, he's fairly good. And he'll like us calling him a chap as well, and as will Moran and the rest of them there. But listen, fair play onwards and upwards. Rathvilly O'Loughlin, this used to be a monumental fixture once upon a time. Maybe not as monumental, but still always gauges big interest. And the rivalry, I don't know, has it simmered any bit? But 2-12 Rathvilly, 2-6 O'Loughlin. Brian, I'll start with you on this one.
I suppose, to be honest, I thought Rathvilly made hard work of it. We were, I think, 5 points up. When Brendan went off with the blood injury that time, I think we were 5 points up, and just didn't really put the foot on the accelerator to finish it out. And then the goal at the end, I suppose, made it a bit more comfortable, made the scoreline look a bit more comfortable from a Rathvilly point of view. I thought it was your typical first round game where Loughlin probably coming thinking, if we can sort of take a scalp here or get over the line here, you're pretty much be guaranteeing themselves at least quarter-final spot, and they played like it was like everything was on the line, and some really good performances. Aaron Hammond was very good for O'Loughlin, but I think I'd say at this stage, the 09, 10, 11, that 13, that those 5 years, that kind of legacy is over, if you like. And I'd say most people would have expected Rathvilly to win the other night, maybe more comfortably than they did, but it certainly wasn't comfortable. And then, of course, Brandon Kelly was the nice touch for us. So I scored 1-4 from play, and I was coming out of the stand and chatting to one of the lads, and one of them said, Brandon was quiet. I was scoring 1-4 from play, So if that's a quiet performance, and I suppose one of the things was, Brian Murphy, having played so well last year, there was lads piled it on him as soon as Rathvilly got the ball and went to move forward, and it left the likes of Brandon and Jake Elliott and Brian Smith available for more kind of scoring opportunities, so. But I think that'd be my synopsis of it. But others might think differently.
Steve-o?
Yeah, the call facts of it. Rathvilly hit 13 wides. O'Loughlin only hit 2, and so O'Loughlin's 2 were the first kick of the game, the last kick of the game. But that's O'Loughlin were probably turned over a good bit in the middle third going forward. So if you kick a ball wide, possession going to the opposition. So the wides were balanced a bit by the possession we lost in the middle third. Like Mikey could have a goal after a few minutes. Rafael looked a bit open at the back if you broke the 45 at pace, we've done it twice or three times. We got Niall Roach got a point and Arnam got the goal over it in the first half. Sean Taylor kicked a good point as well, but Rafael, like Brandon Kelly, Damien Sheen was saying to me before the match, he was beside us there for the Ballinarana match, and he said, watch out for this lad, he's not too bad. He hasn't played with any county teams, I don't think, but he's been involved with soccer, and he was in front of us for the first half. And I know it's on the mark, and that probably it's not like years ago where you have a man marker. Like obviously, I'd say he could have a man marker the next day, Gavin Healy or someone. You need someone that's probably the same size as him or that. But he was deadly. Like, and once the attack for the second goal or the kick out went wrong and he was on the edge of the square, we knew there was only one outcome coming there. Like O'Loughlin, the two goals, like they were, the first one, Brian Smith just got touched to the head of Stephen, and he got a point the same as well. And the next day, hopefully, them won't go in. Like, so, like O'Loughlin, I wouldn't say I'd be happy with you'd be happy with performance if you win. As Brian says there, if O'Loughlin had won, they have a foot in the quarter final. At the moment, they haven't. They've no credit for the game. It's 0-0. They're starting Rangers next Sunday, quarter four. They'll have 3 or 4 boys back, and they'll be stronger than they were last week. And they won't be crying about the beating the golf of Pal. They'll be worrying about what's in front of them, blue and white. But from an O'Loughlin point of view, good to see Paul Coughlin back now. I know he went off near the end of it. If he'd been out last year, he'll be back for next week. Hopefully he will be. Mikey Bambrick was good in patch going forward. Serious traffic and break the game line, like I say, that's the thing. But with Rafael, if you bring the ball into contact, if you want to go to the far side of that, it's a game changer. But they learned as the game went on, more of them tackles went in and lads were stopped up rather than the room they had the first half.
Am I right in saying was there 2 O'Loughlin kickouts that cost them scores? And it wasn't necessarily keeper's fault. It was kind of mixed up in calls or something, and I think we got a goal off one of them.
The second goal was off one. I literally only seen it when it was after going wrong. I took my eye off it, and next to the same, Brandon Kelly was in loose in the middle. Then someone went to him, and it was literally it was an overload. So it was going to be a goal. The first goal was from just a high ball come in, and Stephen didn't get to it, and because but back to Brian Murphy. Like Brian Murphy was quite, even from frees, he was, he kicked one wide there in the second half, and Alan Kelly had no shot on the goal, but like you had Brian Smith scored 1-2, Jack Kelly got a couple of points, Conor Riley had a cracker of a point, Brendan Murphy had said probably only one shot at the post, nearly kicked it. I thought he was bothered there before half time when he went off. We came back on and say he looked in worse bother when he did go off eventually.
Yeah. The hip was but I think one thing maybe it cost O'Loughlin, but they seem to be dead set on going for goals. I don't know if that's their game plan or whatever, but there's a couple of opportunities where they were. I think the Taylor chap was in on goal at one stage and he put it wide. But there's a couple of times where I thought they had opportunities to tap on scores, put them over the bar, and kind of keep the thing ticking over, and kind of went for the jugular. Now, I suppose if you're playing against the reigning champions and you're in on goal, I know I'd be going for it. But that seemed to be a direct tactic, if you like, that they wanted goals. I'm sure the old cliche goals in games, but and in fairness, Ammon's finish for the first one was like, I don't want to say it because he love it, but it was a cracking finish. And to beat Robbie,
Mikey's gone before that just went up with the post, and like you don't get too many of these chances. Barry Hayes actually said in the radio after that Rafael got no goal chance the first half and ended up with a goal, and we had 2 goal chances and ended up with 1. So that's a 6-point swing if you look at it that way. And there was 6 points in it in the wind up. But as I said, if you look at the wides was 30-2, that doesn't tell you everything. Wides on just their shots a goal. There could have been 6 of them, shouldn't have been kicked at the goals. But but the fact that other sports, we're going back to this chestnut again of like we see Dana O'Brien with the Irish International Rugby. What game she had, Brandon Kelly, supposed to be a savage soccer player. Like these players have, they've crossed over from one to the other, and effortlessly at a good level. So you're just because the lad hasn't played county under 16 or 17 or 14 or whoever, like as I said, Damien Sheen said to me before the matches, watch out for this lad now, he's supposed to be very good. And in fairness to him, it was an understatement to 1-4 from playing his first senior game. Like I remember Brendan Murphy playing his first senior game, his corner forward. He looked totally overplayed, 6'5", playing corner forward. He was only about 17. And I won't forget this lad's debut anyway, did I?
I remember that was against Pal. He kicked 4 points on his debut. One was a 45. He has kicked 45 since, but yeah, but
100% record for 45s. Yeah. We'll move on to the fixtures, lads. So coming up on Friday, then it will be Bynasdown Gales versus Ballinabranna at 7:30. All these games in Netwatch Cullen Park. Saturday, 7:15. There is an intermediate game on before this as well, but we'll get to that in a sec. 7:15, Rathvilly and Pal. Then on Sunday, 2 o'clock, Tinryland and Éire Óg. And then after that, Munster Rangers and All Auckland at 3:45. So predictions, we'll jump into them. Bynasdown Gales, Ballinabranna. Probably be a kick in Ballinabranna, but I'm still going Bynasdown Gales. Where are you on that one, lads? All agreed?
Probably think the same, yeah.
Okay, grand. Then Rathvilly Pal. Like all of a sudden, this is a game of big interest. A Pal man, John Kenny, has sent in a message to us there. He's listening from Portugal. That's the job. Sound Johnny Hopper and Giant Old Break. All is good up here in the cul-de-sac. John is next door neighbour, that's just for anyone who doesn't know. Rathvilly Pal. Like as what I was going to say there was, we would have been talking about this a few weeks ago as nearly a given almost, which sounds a bit disrespectful, but probably near enough. Now all of a sudden, after Pal's win, albeit against the weak and Rangers side, there's a big contest here. And no love lost there either, lads, between those two. So I'm still going with Rathvilly. Brian, you're going with Rathvilly, obviously.
The only thing I'd say is there was an unusually large Palatine contingent at my wedding back in June, including their secretary and the Kenny's mother Anne, who's a fabulous singer. But they were all talk about how they were in a transition and all this kind of stuff, and I wasn't buying it for a second. So I think Rathvilly are facing a very, very dangerous Pal team this weekend. Obviously, the heart and the head.
Jeez, he's dropping out on us. Come back to us. We'll bring him back there in a second and all that are going on. I think he's going to go with Rathvilly. Stevie, who are you going with?
I'll probably go with Rathvilly. No, I didn't see Pal the other night, and I'm looking at the team there. I said, I'll go with Pal on what form we have in front of us. But Pado's going to find out a lot about his own lads there with Pal there. Like Rathvilly, there's no better test in a championship game for any newbies you have in the team. So I'll go with Rathvilly. But like the winner of that is potentially straight into the semi-final, if it's Rathvilly and they can beat Munster Rangers, that's game they're definitely through. So it's a direct road. If it'll give you a week or one week off anyway at some stage in the championship, I'll go with Rathvilly at the minute.
Rathvilly for you, Ryan?
Yeah, I'd say it'll be game of the week, but I heart and head to Rathvilly, yeah.
There we go. Tinryland and Éire Óg. Now, this is going to be an interesting one, lads. Jesus, before last week, even though you heard bits and bobs, you'd be saying Éire Óg all day long. What are we saying now?
Tinryland, one of the things Tinryland and Rathvilly have in common are when they're the favourites, they doesn't tend to go too well. So I really want to predict Éire Óg with the expectation that Tinryland are going to win, if that makes any sense. I think maybe with the personnel Éire Óg are missing and Tinryland seems to end up, I'm going to say Tinryland.
Interesting. Stevie?
If John Murphy's red card stands, not saying they're appealing or whether they will or they won't, I think it'd be a fair loss there for Tinryland. He added a bit to the team the other day, I thought. Éire Óg might have a couple back. Probably give Éire Óg just a verdict. Just about.
Yeah, I think Wogan and Thurlow have the hairdryer and everything out this week now, to be honest with you. they won't have been impressed the other day, even though they got a point out of it. They'll be looking, and Tinryland will be sizing up now, thinking there's a big opportunity here, won't they? In fairness,
Paul Roger will be back. I don't know. Is Paul Roger go for longer? I don't know. No, Lucas. And the thing about like Dermot Welch was quite enough the other day. Got no score from play, and he'd be allowed to be expecting to throw 2 or 3 over any game. So like, and as we said, if that group is going to go down to score difference, if Airog and Bangsham win the remaining games, Airog are going to be looking to see if they can win and win well. But I don't think they'll win well. It'll be a win and go from there if you can.
Yeah. I'm going with a draw. I think it'll be tight. It's actually very hard to pick it, to be honest with you. But I'm going with a draw.
Is it comfy in that fence, Kev?
Splinters in my arse. I won't get used to it, I promise. I just have to put a cushion onto it, one or the other. So that's that one. And then Rangers, O'Loughlin. I think the Rangers lads will be back now. I don't know what state they'll be in Hoyes and San Fran for a week or two, which it was earlier this year. I hope me come back as healthy as what I was going over there.
Actually, sorry there, Kevin. Barry Hayes after texting me there. That match in with O'Loughlin around the Leinster Rangers actually on a 6 o'clock now was changed.
Okay, sound for that, Baz. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Barry. There, I give out to him often enough, but there was a rumour. Someone said, actually, could have been on the interviews on the radio that there was talks being changed, which is graveyard mass in Ballymurphy. So if text me there now. So.
6 o'clock then. I'm going O'Loughlin. Stevie.
I should have to go for O'Loughlin. I said it earlier that Rangers won't be pining for the 2 points last week. They'll be looking for the 2 they're available this week, and they'll have John Nolan, Chris Nolan, Ted Joyce be back, whether they're playing or not. But that's up to them. But O'Loughlin need to win this to try and get that quarter final spot into their own hands.
Brian,
I predict a low scoring game and O'Loughlin to shed it.
All right, there we go. We'll move along to intermediate, lads. This is what we're saying. We might even get to a stage. We might have to split this into 2 with junior and intermediate on one podcast and senior on the other, because it will be like the end of Titanic again, as it was for most of last year. We still have a good few tuning on, watching on. Send us a comment if you're enjoying it, lads. Kilbride 113, O'Hanlon's 5 points. Margin of victory surprising maybe, or would some say no, expected? Lots of lads obviously not playing with the Blues. Like Lee Walker's down in Grey Cullen this year and he's tearing it up in the League Championship. He's been a serious addition to Grey Cullen in particular. So they're a different looking side, but still I don't think many would have expected 113 to 5, Stevie, would they?
No, I don't see the Blues team now. There's a lot of names I'm not familiar with. No, and Danny Thompson wasn't doing the start. He did start. I think he done the hamstring either side of half time, and like he's a horrible loss. Like in fairness, and he's a handful for any senior team, and he'd be county standard as well. So he's going to be. He's gone went off yesterday. We're presuming he's going to be gone the next day as well. So Kilbride have Kildavin I think next week. So who does that leave? Grange and the Blues is in the other game. But they're going to be. It's a big beat now, right? It was the Kilbride team. We know it. We nearly know it off my heart now that the regulars on it still, the Nolan, Starra Foley, Sean Foley, James Foley. They're all household names. They get bang for the buck over that team. Like it's their, they do exactly what it says in the tin. They don't. They take no prisoners, and that's 2 points for it's putting the Blues under pressure straight away. And Kilbride have, but that intermediate, there's not between 5-6 teams in it. It's just going to be, you said you could get through to semi for a quarter final with 3 points.
Look at Clonmore last year, a kick of a ball away from going straight through to a semi, ended up in junior. Like it's actually crazy, that intermediate, in fairness. I'm actually going to do a separate column at some stage, I think, on leash equivalents of Carlow teams, because I think Garlis, Killeen and Kilbride have an awful lot in common. Like the amount of lads are still hanging on, and then St. Joseph's and Tinryland would have an awful lot common. And funny enough, there's an intertwine there with the name of St. Joseph's and Ireland, but the one in Laois and the one in Carlow are similar enough. That's talent and all. But anyway, go back to intermediate. Other results then from that group, we'll do a group on this. Grange won 7, Killavin Donegal 10 points. Naomh Eoin then on the other group 3-6. Eire won 12. Now that was a very interesting game, which will come to. Fenagh 17 points. St. Patrick's 1-9. Lots of people tipping Fenagh to win this intermediate championship. So yeah, I don't know where we want to take it up from there, but we did hear a good bit from Naomh Eoin and Eire. That grittiness of Naomh Eoin, it just never lets them down, Stevie.
No, and I looked at the team that 5 of them played the junior the week before now, and they didn't stand out. I don't mean that now, as in they played Rathvillies in the Division 4 final, and Rathvilly only took Conor O'Neill off theirs for the senior there. He commands a blood soap for Brendan Murphy, and he command rightly for him the last 5 minutes. But like Michael and Eoin just don't. There's no giving in. Like looking, it was following on Twitter, it was 112-1-4 and ended up 112-3-6. I was talking to Tommy Wogan there a few minutes ago. A couple of black cards either side of half time. I think they got one at half time, one after it. And Joe Michael Nolan full forward last couple of minutes caused a bit of harm, I think. And like the James O'Hara didn't start last time. I just come back from injury. Diego Dunn, Jerk Kavanagh. There was 5 of them started in the junior or the Division 4 final the week before. And like they're playing. Are they playing Fenagh next Saturday?
It was just fixtures the next segment.
I think Corey Harm. I saw the Corey Harm there to win the match. I think he said that. No, sorry, Eire playing Fenagh. Sorry, yeah. And
St. Patrick's are playing Naomh Eoin.
Yeah, it's great to have so many clubs, first teams in the intermediate. There was a lot of years there where you maybe not too many, but when you've got first teams and clubs playing championship games, you're going to have bigger interest, you get bigger crowds, and you're going to get a better standard of football, and just the Blues game, like any town team kind of losing to a team from a crossroads is like it's one of the great things is about GAA. Like it's about your thing again, Kevin. Win your ball, move it, and work hard, and you can be anybody.
Kilbride have just been notorious for years of, more often than not, maxing out what they're capable of with the resources capable to them. They're just so efficient that way, in fairness. And Jesus, who knows? I don't know if 20 people would have been saying this at the start of the year. You could see another kick in them. You could see a little kick, because a lot of people were talking about them as likely to go junior very, very soon, and who knows, that might still happen. We could talk about something different next week, but there's still a bit of a kick in them, I reckon. But anyway, we'll finish out the fixtures in full then. So just to recap, St. Patrick's and Naomh Eoin 7:30 on Friday out in the Centre of Excellence. 5:30 now at Cullen Park on Saturday, Kilbride versus Killavin Donegal. In that same group on Saturday at 7 back out in the Centre of Excellence, it's Grange and O'Hanrahan's. And also in the Centre of Excellence at 7 o'clock, the other Group 2 game, Eire and Fenagh. Predictions for those. I'll just go. I'll rattle through them. So Naomh Eoin, St. Patrick's. I'm going Naomh Eoin. In a word, lads, who are you going with?
Draw.
Okay, Stevie.
We took the words out of my mouth.
Right, Grant. Kilbride and Killavin Donegal. That is a home dinger. I'm going with a draw on that one.
My goal, Killavin.
At the risk of being shot by the Kilbride lads, I go Killavin as well.
Grange, O'Hanrahan's. Grange.
There has to be something left more in the Blues. The Blues for that one, there must be something in the tank there, and especially after getting bet so well the last day, I go with the Blues there.
Eire and Fenagh. Fenagh just about. Hesitant vote to Fenagh.
Fenagh.
There we go. Okay, junior. So yeah, catch 22 for me personally last Friday. Collection and Loughlin Bridge were playing the same night, which wasn't ideal. So missed the Loughlin game, unfortunately. But they lost out to Clonmore in that one. We're starting with junior A, obviously. We're going through B and C there as well, let you know what's going on. Clonmore 316, Loughlin Bridge 8 points. The other Group 2 game, Tinryland 113, Fighting Cocks 13 points. Sean O'Brien was in line, I think, to play for the Cocks and then got hurt in the warm-up or something like that, according to reports. That's a scary prospect for any junior A footballer.
Hurt him, like, was it a concrete wall or something like?
They wanted to have something of substance anyway. That's a quite good win, in fairness, for Tinryland's second team. But look, it's not hugely surprising. They've been in a couple of finals back-to-back at that grade. So,
but that makes the Loughlin Bridge Fighting Cocks game Friday night now, as a Friday or Saturday night, that makes that one a must-win game for both of them nearly. After one round.
Yeah, and then going back to what I was saying, it's great to have a club's first team, playing in each individual championship. But when that's happening, then a club's first team shouldn't be getting beaten by another club's second team, which is what happened with Tinryland and the Cocks. But again, you like to think there's repercussions then for whoever plays the Cocks next, because they won't take a defeat lying down, you wouldn't think.
Yeah, that's going to be a grueler. That game with Loughlin Bridge and the Fighting Cocks is Saturday at 6 o'clock.
Exactly.
Down in the Fighting Cocks. So, yeah, big ask for Loughlin Bridge. I think the Cocks might just win that one. I hate saying it. I'm going to be shot for saying it, but I think the Cocks might do that one. We'll get a prediction on that one while we're on the topic.
Cocks.
Yeah, Stevie?
Probably have to go with the Cocks, I'd say. Yeah, no. Loughlin might have a couple of lads back that haven't got the last day. The Cocks, I just see the scores there. The older rivals, Matty Dowland, Alan Quigley hitting the scores, and like they're around a good while, and they'll hit them the next day as well. Like they're working over a small group as well. I suppose Derek Head is training them. Like, if joking aside, if Sean O'Brien was playing, like, and I don't like, I hear all these stories, he'd be a
frightening prospect.
A frightening prospect is
understatement. The other fixture there, Clonmore and Tinryland, 7:30 out in Clonmore, and as good as we've been.
That's a tough spot to be going to Clonmore.
That's a
Clonmore. That is really that's Galatasaray job now. That's well, it was an hour there anyway. It might be a rookie dial. It's still not her own, but
oh man,
anyway, went down there.
I have a horrendous injury record in general, right? But I brought my leg when I was 12 against Clonmore, and I made bids to my ankle out there 4 years ago. And I'm not trying to dog Clonmore over that, but generally you get a seriously physical game when you're playing Clonmore. Yeah, they've done great work out there, lads. I saw pictures of
They're flying.
Yeah, another picture there as well, I think.
Yeah, so
there's 75 years, and they had their 75 and years in celebration there a few weeks back. But like, I grew up with Rathvilly Clonmore being a massive rivalry at senior level, and in one sense, it like you sort of, for us anyway, it's sort of like, it's sort of sad to see them playing junior, because we love that rivalry back at top level, but at underage, they're putting together some really strong teams, and in the same way you can see Fenna sort of starting to grow there again. I wouldn't be surprised if the
Clonmore wouldn't mind there in the late 80s or early 90s, like when that was unheard of. That thing was Roger winning most of them as most.
Was that with the McGraths?
With the 1-1. I'd say it was early 90s.
I think it was Goose. Goose McGrath and Freedom Boys.
Could have been, but like we could never beat him. Like they knocked us out senior, they hammered us in intermediate final. It's different times, but they had always had their football was one thing. They always, a bit like Rathvilly, their football would stand the test of time, no matter the skill wise. They wouldn't be beating skills anyway. The basics of the game. And
Stevie,
that's what you fall back on.
They have massive following. Like I think at one stage, even after kind of the the crash and all, like the Clonmore Lotto, I think was taking in about $2,000 a week when and maybe at a time when things weren't going well on the field, like the support they have and the following they have is absolutely probably one of the best in Carlow. And they probably the followers probably deserve some glory days. I think that Paddy Malay managed them to the intermediate final in 2011, I think, was it? And after that, I don't think they're in an intermediate final since. But they're on the rise, I think.
Yeah.
The connection down here is not great, so if this is cracking up, I apologise. I don't know what way we're looking or what way we're sounding, but anyway, we'll stay going until she drops here. But continuing on with the junior stuff, the other junior A game. So O'Loughlin 2-14, Bindingstown Gales 1-4, and just trying to trace the other one there. Ballin 3-12, Palatine 14 points, and just looking ahead to the fixtures there. Now, I was missing the Ballin Bindingstown fixture. Not quite sure when is that taking place, but again, just sifting there. O'Loughlin Palatine is on Saturday at 7:30 in Palatine. So
Friday.
Is that O'Loughlin?
It's not Friday, no.
20. Yeah, Friday.
Friday.
You're spot on. You're spot on. I apologise. Who are we going with?
In the words of Saul Campbell, I say France. Did you see that clip where he's asked to pick between
long time ago
4 teams? Dude. I don't know, especially junior. It's obviously Ballin's first team.
It's Ballin and Bindingstown are the prediction now. Hold on, we're going for O'Loughlin and Palatine.
You're going Saul Campbell on it.
Now who's the choice? Lad.
The last thing I heard was Ballin Bindingstown.
All right, there, Chris Kamara.
When did you mention the other two?
It's like shouting at the dog that only knows his own name, but doesn't understand other 20 words when you shout it on.
Lads, it's all happening.
Well, I've enjoyed my last ever appearance on back.
Could be mine as well. O'Loughlin. I'm going with O'Loughlin, and I'm going to go with Ballin in the other game. How are we fixed, lads? What's the predictions?
Ballin probably to beat Bangson. The O'Loughlin Bangson game, this was the queer one. JP Tracy scored a goal, a cracker of a goal in the first 2 or 3 minutes, and Bangson looked like they were going to run away with it. And O'Loughlin's the experienced lads was more experience in the field than was in the bank now, and that's the truth. But it's gas when you see they had Michael Meany, Decky Kelly, Huey Gann, Richie Burke, John Hayden, all part around the field, and they worked the young lads into the game and told Clarkey in the goal for Clarkey. So like they mightn't have had it in the legs, the whole lot of them, but they definitely had it in the head, and there was nothing in the game. Point in the half time, and Michael Meany went through the start second half in the throw, and I thought it was Owen Murchin in the Ireland final a couple of years ago, and kicked the point, and the kick out went wrong and they got a goal, so they were 5 points up then, and they kind of took over then. But looking at the Pal team, Pal have a kind of a settled second team league. Gordon doing all the scoring. I think he scored 8 or 9 points the other night against Ballin, so Pal, there'll be nothing in that game. I'd be hoping O'Loughlin win, but I wouldn't be surprised Pal win. It'll be, and like, if O'Loughlin win, that'll be true. Probably looking Ballin, I guess it should have enough for Bangstown Gales. Whether they've anyone else come back on the team, like the last party, they won the Junior B last year, I think, did they? I think Owen Hickey was probably the only one. Owen Hickey might be the only one, but off of that he played senior there, and Ross O'Neill maybe. They're the only two I think played senior there. Yeah, on Friday night, so they probably have what they had. No, JP Tracy, I couldn't understand who this lad was full forward, as we late going in, and it took me about 10 minutes to figure out who it was. He's a big unit, to tell you. He scored a cracker of a goal though. I wouldn't say he played a whole lot of football in Gorn in his day, but he wouldn't throw him off the ball too handy, same as the hurling.
Junior B football results: Aero 2-11, Calaventry Golf 5-5. What a scoreline! St Mullins 2-11, Bannerbrana 1-7. Fenna 2-16, Navan 6 points, and I'm missing one. Yeah, Aska 2-9, Philly 5 points. Now, just looking at the other junior fixtures this week. So Junior C, the granddaddy of them all, that's Wednesday evening. Loughlin Bridge at home to Clonmore at 7:15. They had to do a redraw on that because a few teams actually pulled out. In Group 1, the other game of Group 1, 7:30, Ballin at home to St. Patrick's. And then in Group 2, you have the Fighting Cocks at home to Pal at 7:15. And then at 8 o'clock, you have the Blues at home to Mount Leinster Rangers. Junior B fixtures on Saturday. You have Asca and Fenna. That's at 5:30 in Asca. And then you have Ballinabranna and Aerogue. That's on Sunday at 6 o'clock in Ballinabranna. Kildavin Clonegall at home to St. Mullins at 6 o'clock in Kildavin. And Navan at home to Rathvilly 6 o'clock. So that is the story. Any other matters ongoing, gentlemen?
I've seen Asca playing O'Loughlin there a couple of weeks ago in a practice. They're in the Junior B. I've seen Rathvilly playing last week in Division 4, and Asca turned them over by 7 or 8 points. And they look decent against O'Loughlin.
A Junior B practice match?
A Junior practice match. I know they're probably illegal in most counties, but they look decent now. Pal or Asca, sorry, like Clonmore, they've done a lot of work underage, and there's probably a couple that's trickling through there at the moment. Be interested to see that Junior B is wide open. Anyone could win that as well. Like Pat Cody said a couple last year. Someone said a 6-year plan, was it, or 5-year plan?
6-year plan to win the senior championship. Yeah, if the structure stays the same.
So, but like Fenna, Navan, Kildavin, I think Ballinabranna lost to Salmons last night. Just, the one he put the A team structure, it does leave it. I know there could be dead rubbers with the third set of games, but there's something to play for. First 2 rounds are, you're definitely, if you don't win the first game in your group, in any of these groups, you have to, it's taking out your hands.
He's having me absolutely. So maybe it was a joke. St. Mullins have a 6-year plan to win the senior football.
Do you not know that?
Slightly tongue in cheek, I'd imagine, but you know what? They're not going to be far off. I'm not going to say they're going to win the senior championship, but they'll end up intermediate, I'd say, within the 5 years, I think.
Well, to tell you one thing, I know. In Kieran Murphy's book, he interviewed Jar Lennon, and the story was that Jar would come carrying out the balls and the footballs at the end of hurling training, and the boys would be like, go away with the footballs, sort of thing. But there's enough talent that, like, Paddy Keogh. I remember we played them in Junior A few years back, and Paddy Keogh was every bit as good a footballer as he was a hurler, as far as I could see. And that's just one example. I remember, didn't Jack Kavanagh get to a minor A final with Rangers when the 06 was it?
Yeah.
Like there's football down there. Obviously the hurling was first, but
Brian, it's like we played out clips last year of James Doyle hitting frees off the ground in Junior Z final, and they wouldn't let out place in Crow Park. Like, they were absolutely unbelievable. Some of the footballers they have are top class. They're definitely capable of playing senior club football, like some of the lads there. Some might argue, even with Doyle, with his athleticism and everything, that he's capable of playing senior county football, because he just has it all physically and has a bit of ball as well. I think they're going to win that Junior B. Now, as things get a little bit closer to the business end, there's a Leinster Championship to be played for, so you just wonder, wouldn't you? But isn't it great? I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday. Imagine, like, you're after winning the senior championship in the code that everyone wants to win it in from their point of view, hurling, and that's it. And then it can go on and enjoy the football. Literally go on and enjoy it. Train maybe one night a week. And that is the dream. It's level Leinster Championship to look forward to. Yeah. Man, that's a pretty good year, isn't it?
I think, in fairness, Schlockneil have been the trend, or not the bar setters, trendsetters, whatever you want to call it. If they can do it and come out of Northern football, if they can do it, it surely can be done. Is it 81 since Michael did it? Or
86.
86 is it? 86.
Yeah.
I think
Michael were lucky not to win a couple more, because they lost a lot of finals, lost to Rathvilly, a point or two, just probably needed a forward, maybe the marquee forward, lad says, the Roger Rathvilly might have had or might have hadn't, on some days.
Was there a bad thing this year as well? A lot of people have asked this question, so I'm going to have to put it out there. A lot of people have asked, why wasn't the actual grades flipped this year. So for the last couple of years, obviously, it's been this way where hurling's been played first and then football's been played. And I went to a vote at a board meeting, and I believe, and I'm open to correction, that some hurling clubs even wanted to keep it the same. And I just can't understand that, because out of everything, I think it's a little bit easier to get back up to speed with football than it is with hurling. Your touch has to be in hurling. Like, it's just so important to you. I'm not saying it's not important in football. You need to be playing. You need to be sharp. But Jesus, it's mad.
Yeah, look, that was the way it went. Like, went to a vote, and they'd say, look, next year, it's 2 years in a row the football clubs have been left waiting, and that's not going to happen next year, I'm guessing. And even with the hurling, the footballers were still training not as much, but they were still, they had to try, and anyone that's involved with both codes still had to throw their face into the football as much as they could as well. So
in answer to your question, Kev,
season work, but go on, Brian.
Its question was why, and I can say this with a certain degree of certainty, which is that there's as much politics in GA as there are in actual politics.
I have no doubt whatsoever, Brian.
Absolutely
no doubt.
I think, and it's probably fairly common knowledge, but I think what happened was there was a previous vote where lads had kind of said, look, we need this, will you back us? And then there was reverse was looked for the following year and stuff. So you've clubs, I suppose, in one sense helping each other out, and in another sense it means that I think as long as the players have certainty, I think it's fairly positive. The only, I suppose, the downside is it means you've got all those fine weeks in May, June, July, with one code not getting to play a championship. But as long as the players are happy and the supporters get entertained, we can't really complain, can we?
Mm-hmm. I will add in one little thing that's not entirely football related, but the under-20 hurling final didn't go ahead the week before last, obviously. And my understanding is that the CCC awarded the game to Mount Leinster Rangers, and there is talk going around that Byrne have gone to Leinster Council to appeal that decision. So when we get more information, we'll suss it out. Byrne weren't in a position to play the game. I don't know this is only speculation now, where I believe maybe there was people on holidays and the bodies weren't there to fulfill it. I think so. The semi-final would have been played on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I think the final was down on the Saturday, 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we'll see how that's going to pan out. Anything else, lads, before we wrap it up?
Well, just the boardroom isn't the worst place to be awarded the match. Rathvilly mightn't have been in the 83 final, only for the semi-final was awarded to them in the boardroom, and played their role in the final and managed to beat them. So there's a lot to be said for the boardroom.
What was that with Brian? Who was
the
semi-final?
Tin Island.
What happened there?
I don't know. I think was the late Tommy O'Neill, was he unavailable and Tyrrell didn't want to play, and Rathvilly said, I know, sure, we'll play anyway, lads. And I mightn't have it fully correct, but there was players were away or players weren't available, and Tyrrell were thrown out and Rathvilly were through. And like that time, Tyrrell were going strong.
Yeah, they would have been county champions in 81.
Definitely 81 anyway. And they haven't won a senior since.
No.
Yeah. So maybe the boardroom is the curse. But like, you know, if Rathvilly hadn't been in the final that year and won it, who knows what might have happened, like, you know. But that was a huge catalyst for us. Well, there was 67 and then 73 and 78, but 83 was the first senior, and it's been the backbone of everything we've had ever since, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right, gents, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your company this evening, much appreciated. Brian, you'll call in to us again. We haven't frightened you off here now, right now, have we not?
No, if you'll have me.
Good stuff. Yeah. We'll get sorted out correct the next time. We won't have anyone killed.
I'd love to go on a snack box some night for the crack.
Do you know what? That brain part has crossed my mind.
Would the screen be big enough for the two of us? Hardly would.
The 55-inch screens now, Brian. We're all right.
The broadband be able for the two years.
Yeah, mine
Bandwidth.
was under pressure. So hopefully, yeah, we might make adjustments on that one actually. But anyway, gents, thanks a million. Appreciate your time
All
as
the best.
always. Thank you, Steve Barbershop and Brian Donoghue. Shout out to our sponsors again for the championship: the Recovery Hub in Carlow, J&J Services in Tullow, the Baba's Barbershop in Carlowtown, the Green Lemon Cafe in Rathvilly, and Seamus Byrne Electrical specialists in floodlights, of course. As we said, there is advertising space available for some more companies. Very competitive rate for the championship. Still good value to be got there. Our listeners, our viewers, thanks a million for tuning in. Good few in there tonight. We'll get the audio up on Spotify and Apple and all those places as we do. Give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the Left Wing Back. And if you're enjoying the coverage, we do have a Buy Me a Coffee link. You can support our efforts for the price of a coffee. That's it. Go on. Good luck. We'll chat to you.